FLW Tour stop number 5, Lake Pickwick. It is now summertime. We've caught up to the star of Circuit Breaker and the star of, I've seen you on some posters around here, JT Kenney. Also kind of the star, rising star of the ledge fishing. Of course, we've discussed this several times, all about the ledge fishing. You just came back from Douglas over there on an open, did really good graphing those fish. I've looked at your record along the TVA. You got a lot of top 10s, graphing fish. Chickamauga, you got a top 10, Kentucky, several, Gunnersville. However, I noticed Pickwick was missing off of the list of top 10s. It's a TVA lake. I know you like to get out there and graph them. Tell me what's the deal with Pickwick.
Well, you know, I really like the lake. It sets up just like all the other TVA lakes. I've just had a couple of in these ledge tournaments, you can really get in a bad rotation sometimes, and what I mean by that is you're fishing spots, and of course, you know, anybody that's good at ledge fishing is going to find a lot of the same spots, and you know, sometimes you get to spots before other guys do, or when a spot has rested for a couple of hours and nobody's been on it, and then you get on it and you catch them, or you get in a bad rotation where you're running to your spot and you see somebody just pulling off of it that's just sit there and beat it up. So that's happened to me a couple of times. Coming into this one, I've really in the last month or so really started to, really try to find the untapped stuff, because with the electronics now and the Navionics chips and all that stuff, I mean, there really isn't any big piece of structure out there that's not just getting its butt handed to it, you know. I mean, just because guys can just run right to it and graph around, they can see if there's fish there or not. And so I've really been trying to get out there and just find, you know, just hard spots out on flats or anything. It's super time consuming just to idle around and try to find that stuff. But I think that's what it's going to take to do well, unless you get a good boat draw one day and you get to one of the community holes and you catch them like that. But to do it for 2 and 4 days, I mean, you're really going to have to find some stuff that's not on the Navionics chip. And, you know, you were talking about Douglas. That's what I did there. I went up the river. I fished deep, but up the river at Douglas, up there where there was no contour lines on the chip anymore. And actually old school found the stuff just by idling, and I think that was one of the reasons why I did so good there. And here it's the chip's pretty good here, so it's gonna be tough to do stuff like that. But just trying to find, you know, out of the way stuff. Not really out of the way, you know, it's gonna be main river ledge stuff, but just stuff that doesn't look really good on the Navionics chip.
You told me today in practice, how many hours will you idle before you even pick up a rod?
This morning I think I made a cast at like 1:30 this afternoon.
Nothing but idling.
Yeah, no, I mean, now I marked some spots and then I went back and fished them. But yeah, I don't fish them. You know, as soon as I find some fish, I usually don't. I just go and go and go. And you know, it's kind of funny. It's like I like catching fish, not fishing. I like catching. So I don't want to, when I'm ledge fishing, I don't want to fish until I see what I know. I know as soon as my plug gets down there, it's gonna get eat, and that's what I do. And but yeah, I went, like I said, to 1:30, and I mean, I probably didn't make 100 casts today, I wouldn't think.
You sent me some pictures from Douglas that you can take a look at here that we'll show you. And that's what excites JT Kenney, is when your screen looks like those pictures, you get pretty excited.
Yeah, you know, after doing it for, I'm probably going on 4 or 5 years now, I've just totally committed in the summertime to offshore fishing. And I mean, I really can tell if I'm going to get bit on the first cast or not. I mean, just from doing it for so long and seeing the way that the fish position, especially if there's current, and I mean, you literally can tell, and you can tell if they're bass or not. You can
on the screen.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But it's not the shape of the arch or anything. It's how they're positioned on the structure. Okay. And you can tell if they're bass and if they're feeding, and you can tell by the size of the arch how big they are, because sometimes you idle across there and they'll just be great big fat arches and they're just all lined up just the way they should be. And first cast, it's a 6-pounder, you know, so. But sometimes there'll be some big ones mixed in with smaller ones, so you can't always tell. But if it's a school of big ones, you can tell they're big ones.
Wow, that's super fantastic. But then the problem becomes other people can find them as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the real issue. And like I was saying at the beginning of the interview, trying to find something that's good that's not on the chip, and the chip's so good that man, every big piece of structures is on there, and everybody's finding everything, and everybody coming in here knows that this is going to be an offshore tournament.
Are there any other alternatives? That's what I was asking Andy Morgan a bit. I mean, it just seems like after you see what happened at the Rayovac of Kentucky and what just happened at Douglas, on these TVAs this time of year, there's just very few alternatives other than the top 10 will come from out there.
If anybody's going to find it, Andy Morgan will. I mean, there could be a little untapped, maybe stretches of bank or something that since nobody's fishing the bank, that might be pretty good. But I can't believe there'd be enough up there for 4 days. No, but it's interesting to me. I'm still learning and in the process of trying to figure out how to find places I've got my graphs and I understand how to use them, what the fish look for. What the fish look like on them and what I'm looking for. But it's just the last key to the puzzle is finding stuff that's not on that chip.
Sounds good. One last thing. Those pictures you showed me from Douglas, you find any of that out there today on Lake Pickwick?
Yeah, but not nearly as good as I expected it to be. I caught a couple 4-pounders today, but I mean, nothing. I didn't see any great big schools, and I even idled some of the well-known community areas just to see. And those community areas are usually places where, I mean, you don't put a waypoint on the school on those places. You put a waypoint at the beginning of the school and the end of the school. I mean, usually this time of year. And I graphed those same areas today, and there's like 20 fish down there. So after it's only 1 day of practice, I got 2 more, but I'm not 100% sure what's going on and why they're not. I mean, the water temperature is 80 degrees. It's the first week of June. This should be the hottest time for those massive schools out on those ledges, and I'm just not seeing the fish are out there, but they're just not in these great big schools. And I think it's going to be might be a little bit more of actually fishing for them, more so than just like a lot of times I'll see a big school of fish and I won't ever even throw on it till the tournament. I'll never even make a cast into it, and I don't think it's going to be like that this time.
Sounds good. That's the day 1 practice update from JT Kenney here at Pickwick Lake.